What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Arrive and Drive. I'm Zach.
I'm Evan.
Jordan.
Oh, shoot, my turn. I'm Nate.
So
I thought it was my turn. I didn't know we're doing that.
Great way to start out. So we had the Rolex 24 last weekend. We've got a lot to talk about this week. But first, we've got a guest, another guest on Arrive and Drive. Bobby Krug, a.k.a. ATA Network, is here. How we doing, brother?
Doing good. AKA ATA Network is a very hard thing to get out, but you did well. So I'm doing good. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Fantastic.
We had a great weekend of racing, clearly. And actually, you were there, Bobby, for the Rolex 24. You want to kind of clue us in on why you were down there?
Yeah, so with my job at Skip Barber, primarily doing media stuff, but also a little bit of instructing. So we were down in Sebring for one of our 2-day advanced programs, and we ended up having to take all our fleet of Stage 3 Roush Mustangs from Sebring back to our shop, which is located at Virginia International Raceway. 2 legendary tracks right there, but we had to make a pit stop at Daytona because I had to do media stuff for our hot lap experience that we do with IMSA. So before the Rolex, there's different manufacturers, and we pretty much represent Toyota with our Supras and basically give people thrill rides around the road course at Daytona, which I was fortunate enough to get into 2 of those and film some stuff for the Skip Barber site for socials. So really fortunate. My first ever Rolex. So that was super cool to witness. I mean, it's unlike any other event. I mean, I've been to a bunch of IndyCar races, NASCAR races, dirt races, but just something about that IMSA sports car world is just completely different. It's just the atmosphere there. It's electric. I mean, that's like the Super Bowl of sports car racing right there. So it was super fun to be there, and it was an awesome event.
So you talk about your job with Skip Barber, and it would be almost a disservice to talk about your job with Skip Barber without talking about how you got to that point, which I feel like it's a very linear story. You can't talk about one thing without talking about the other. Let's jump this back all the way to 2016. And let's talk about how you got involved with racing yourself. Gateway Kartplex, 2016, Father's Day. I think it was Father's Day. You and your dad go to the Kartplex for the first time, and they kind of just kick-started your journey through karting.
Yeah, I mean, it was a thing that, I didn't know that I could really do racing. Came from a lower middle-class family, didn't have a last name, didn't have the money to do it. And I heard radio ads, and my neighbor actually went and did a private event at the Kartplex, and I heard about it. And I was like, well, it's Father's Day. My dad, we always loved going to Gateway for the Busch Series races and Craftsman Truck in the early 2000s. So it felt like a really good excuse to, get back to the track and check it out and see what it was all about. So went there, dumped too much money on 2 all-day passes in the rental carts. And at the end of the day, you couldn't wipe the smile off my face. Just running those 10-minute sessions, it was insane. And then, to kind of jump forward, I kept coming out 2 for Tuesdays, kept running laps around that track and learned from a lot of people. That's when I met guys like, Jimmy Miller before he raced Ignite. And he kind of, got me pointed in the right direction through some of the corners. And I got to a point where one of the workers was like, hey, you're picking up the pace. You'd be good to run iDrive. And sure enough, did iDrive, ran a partial season in 2016 when I first came on the scene, and ran the full year in 2017. Had a pretty good battle with Brendan Lauer. I know we all know and love Brendan Lauer. What a fun little guy he is. But
fun little guy.
Guy.
Is he categorized as a leprechaun or what? Like
Brendan's big. Brendan's big. He's tall.
He just got pedal. He just got pedal extenders. That's it. Doesn't mean it's.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about
He
that.
makes up in personality.
I don't think there's been a day where I see Brendan I don't make fun of him having pedal extenders. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hey, not everybody's
Hey,
gifted
every
with
time I
being
see him.
freaking
Nathan.
7 foot tall like you are.
It's cap.
So sorry, Bob.
No,
continue with your story.
No, you're good. No, I battled him out for the championship, and it came down like he won the last race and finished second in 2 races, and I won 2 races and finished second in the last one, and that ended up winning me a scholarship ride in the Ignite series. And I don't know how much more in depth you want to go with this, but I ran 3 seasons, won the championship at Gateway after Stotmer left, and was able to finish runner-up in Challenge. through all that, though, doing a lot of sim racing, won a scholarship with Skip Barber, got the chance to do some schools with them. As I went there and continued doing all my YouTube stuff, they liked me for the media. They saw that I was good behind the wheel, kept their equipment clean, and provided me with awesome opportunities to race in the Skip Barber Formula Series. So, it's you don't hear many stories like that. So it's cool to represent the little guy that can't necessarily just have the last name Andretti or whatever and be guaranteed that spot or have the financial backing to go off and do it. So just really fortunate and really happy to be in the position that I'm in.
No, and
That's
you
awesome.
mentioned
you
that
imagine-
you mentioned the
hold
point
on.
that you didn't get your start just like a normal traditional racer did, but you similarly kind of did. Getting the itch going through karting and then you going through rental karts. Some guys were just able to jump into a kart and go race the national races and start their career that way. Others like you got into karting, racing the rental karts, and then got into actual karting series, and then it's just kind of developed from there. So you know you didn't get the traditional way like most racers tend to do, but you still got the traditional way in terms of how racers get their start into racing, which is kind of cool to see how people just, off the side of the road have an itch for racing and want to go try it themselves in the rental carts. And next thing I know, it turns into an act of racing nationally and then turns into racing cars. So it's cool to see that you giving the story just like everyone else has about it.
And it's crazy how if you never went to the track with your neighbor that day, you probably wouldn't be with Skip Barber right now.
I was
doing your
I was gonna
job.
say something similar. Could you imagine if Brendan Lauer won that championship? Their lives would be switched.
Well,
You would see Brendan Lauer and Skip Barber. I mean, come on now. I would have loved. I mean, imagine.
Well,
hold on. I got a note on that. So one thing is, I've been very lucky to, check all those boxes. But once again, you switch those positions, it's not necessarily about being in the opportunity to get those opportunities. It's what you make of those opportunities. Yeah. And so I don't know if Lauer would have, if he got that cart, who's to say that he would have got the in with Margay and did all the media stuff? There's no way he would have done that. So it would have been just like what you see with everybody else. He probably would have bought the cart at the end of the year, ran it, it just wouldn't have been the same. So it's cool. Like you said, Jordan, it's a very traditional way for most people, go karting, get into sports cars, whatever. But there's just been a lot of, what I've lacked in everything I've said. It's been replaced with a grind, a hard work, and then all the marketing assets that I do on the side. I mean, that's sure. If you want the ingredients to all the cake and what it's been, that's exactly what it's been. I've just been, now, there's been a lot of luck, but a lot of hard work.
Now,
yeah.
Here's an impertinent question that I have is, let's say you didn't win the iDrive championship and you didn't get the scholarship. Do you think we'd still see you in an Ignite kart at all?
I mean, I religiously said at the end of the season, 2017, I was in college. I'm in all this financial debt. I thought I was burning a lot of money on iDrive. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I told myself at the end of the 2017 season that I was just going to stop, focus on my college education.
Sure.
I doubt I would have done that. I doubt you can't just drop racing. No. There's just no way you would have done that. So, and realistically, I think I probably would have done iDrive in 2018. And at that time, literally, it was just me and Lauer running away from the rest of the field. So I probably would have won the championship in 18. It just would have been another year backwards. Mm-hmm. But, it would have changed the story. I don't know if I would have, be with Skip Barber or not, but it definitely would have changed it. But I would have been in racing still for sure.
I have another follow-up question with that. If you didn't do in the past all your YouTube videos, all your vlogs, all your podcasts, so to say, do you think you would have had the opportunities you had to do what
I don't
you do
think
now?
Bobby Krug would be Bobby Krug the way 0%. He is.
No, 0%. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too, is YouTube has been the number one passion. I mean, I started that back when I was in junior high. Just sitting down with my buddies playing video games, and we record videos and just have a good time with it. When I went to Kartplex for the first time with my dad, I had a GoPro on my helmet, one of the rental helmets, and it was like, I'm going to make a YouTube video out of this experience. So I still have on my hard drives my first ever laps I ran at Kartplex, my first ever iDrive I ran, my entire story. And that's another thing too. My whole story's been documented. You can tell someone, I started from nothing and how I got to become somebody, and without the proof and being able to actually go back and watch every minute of track time that I've ran, it's an insane amount. It's like 2 terabytes or 3 terabytes of GoPro footage that I have. that just pretty much show, my progress throughout. So, and that's from the karting stuff and the Skip Barber stuff. Every Skip Barber session has been recorded too. So that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Like you don't see that. And the other thing too that really is, just if I was a racer and without the marketing stuff, I started doing this when I was 18. That's pushing your expiration point. You see all these guys that are top tier motorsports and they're younger than me, and it's like, I don't want to feel old at 23, but I do. So it's just our beautiful world here of motorsports.
People tend to say in motorsports, age is just a number. I kind of want to believe it, but at the same time, I find myself not believing it, knowing that, you look at all the greats in motorsports, like let's say a Chase Elliott or like a William Byron or so, or even like a Lando Norris, they're all getting into the motorsport world at like the age of 18 when we're starting. So, to think that like at the age of 18, you could start racing and make a career out of it, it's kind of like looking for the needle in the haystack. It may not happen, but there's that one moment where if you're good enough at it and you put the time into it and you find the right places, the right team, the right path to get lucky, it may be able to make a career out of it.
I would argue from a marketing standpoint, yes, it is a lot harder to start older. But I mean, if you have if you were starting older and you had the money to do it anyways, I mean, that doesn't necessarily matter as much. But somebody's going to take your paycheck. But yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. So
I will say this one more thing before we go on, Zach. I will say this from a sports car side. It's interesting because manufacturers will actually look at a driver who is in the ages of 25 and 30 rather than looking at a driver between the ages of 20 to 25. Only because, like you said, Zach, the marketing standpoint, a guy who's 25 to 30 can be more trusted and, is more marketable than a guy who's looking at the ages of 20 to 25, depending on the talent. So, there is also hope for like guys in the sports car realm that have it higher up in age. But when you're looking at like the Formula and IndyCar side, when you're looking at like maybe NASCAR side as well, that's when it gets tricky at the age level.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because you look at all the Rolex drivers. I mean, Aaron Nash. He's a little bit older now. He was racing for McLaren. All those guys are. They're not old by any means, but they're mid-30s and they're racing the Rolex. You got guys in their late 40s racing. It's
47 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Freaking won the Rolex overall. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. And then you've got guys like Josh Pearson that are 15 racing LMP2, which is just insane.
And it just freaking, yeah.
Which you raced against him, Evan. I mean, he's a pretty talented driver, I think.
Yeah, he's good.
So, well.
All right, if we want to get going here. So usually if you're new here, we have certain segments we go through. Let's kind of go in order a little bit here. Kind of skip around a little bit. It's not big deals, though. Our next kind of segment we have is actually what Zach wanted to make the show name. Ben Axles and Broken Hearts. So that was one of the show names.
You could go with a lot for this one, for this week.
We dumbed it. Yeah, we dumbed it down and just made it a segment. But I'm just gonna give it to you guys. There's a lot that happened. I'm just gonna give it away. And who wants to start with something first? So it was a lot.
Let's go with the GTD Pro final lap. It was the two Porsches between Jaminet and Vanthor. What a race! I mean, the race itself as a whole, in its entirety, was pretty insane. But you look at that GT battle on the final lap, two cars, and you kind of knew it was building up to it. The little bump and runs you'd see, the little side to side hip checks. You kind of knew if they were even in each other's zip code on the final lap, somebody was getting shipped. And I don't think you can really place blame. They were side by side going into the bus stop on the final lap, and one of them crashed. Yeah,
and they were teammates the year before, so it's crazy. They had so much respect for each other, but obviously they're gonna do whatever they can to win that race. And I think Vanthor he wanted to win that race more than anybody because he's not with Faft anymore, so he really wanted to race and win that race because of that, I think.
Not only that, but that car was only doing, I think, just a one-off race. I don't think it was doing the full season, so that was their one and only shot. to win this race. And
Yeah, right. Motorsport. It's not doing the whole season in
correct,
IMSA.
yeah. So not only that, but I mean, it's just a testament to how talented both those Porsche factory drivers are, and how they were able to go at each other, just hit after hit. But keep in mind, this battle went on for an hour, the final hour of the race. I mean, you don't see that in racing, a battle go for an hour long. And that battle did. And to lead it, have it come all the way up until the last lap is what makes it so crazy about it. And it was just some of the best racing I think I've personally have ever seen in the latest years of sports car racing. Without a doubt, in sports car racing.
And I mean, we'll get
There's
into.
not.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bobby.
Sorry, no. There's not often that So I saw the green flag drop live at Daytona, and by the time I had seen the end of the race, we were at the shop at VIR, and we watched the last 20 minutes of that race. And there's not often that I scream at the TV, but I was screaming at the TV. I mean,
Yeah.
exactly. Echoing what you guys said. Like they were taking room from each other, but they weren't taking each other out.
It wasn't
Just
malicious.
the level of respect between those two guys and just the class of the racing, and even like on social media after the fact, the way that they communicated and talked, like recap their race, they were like, yeah, that was fucking awesome. They thought it was so cool, and the viewership that's good for IMSA too. I mean, IMSA is still growing. It's not like the most popular motorsports on network television, but that helps it so much. People see that highlight on social media, and it's like, well, now we got to tune in for Sebring.
Yep.
And, that's going to bring so many good eyes, whether from NASCAR fans, IndyCar fans, whatever it is, to tune in to the next IMSA race because, you'll be able to see the same thing for, this. And it's just so good for that.
Well, and it even goes back to Petit Le Mans, the championship finale last year. I mean, the championship, your season-long championship, came down to the final corner, the final lap, basically. That's just crazy. And I feel like we're a few years out from really watching IMSA pop off as, from an entertainment standpoint. Because, I mean, like, I remember, gosh, I was probably 10 years old when I first started watching, like, Grand Am when it was still on Speed Channel.
Yep.
Before it even merged, it was Grand Am. And then, you had ALMS also. And what it's become now is just crazy. And we had 61 cars. They actually had to turn away entries for this race because they just didn't have enough room for them. Like, to me, it says a lot about IMSA, what they provide, and the fact that not only do people want to watch it, not only do teams want to be there, but there are drivers that have funding to be there. So that speaks volumes for what IMSA provides.
And not only that, too, but it's also the biggest race in one of sports cars' biggest race, and especially for IMSA as well. And it was perfect that this all happened because you look at the Petit Le Mans and you look at the Rolex, our two races basically for IMSA are standalone. Like there's no other racing going on in the world, and the whole motorsports world is paying attention to these two races. And to have two spectacular finishes has literally put IMSA, like you said, Zach, on momentum on its shoulders, and are now getting people to want to tune in for Sebring the 12 hours just to see what happens. And you ask people, they probably didn't even know what IMSA was. I bet you now everyone in the motorsports community knows what IMSA racing is all about.
Yeah, I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to buying things that I don't have to buy. I bought Peacock just to watch the 24 in its entirety. I literally had it playing on my phone while I was in bed sleeping. So, like, it's on my nightstand playing in my ear as I'm sleeping. And I would wake up in the middle of the night, roll over, okay, nothing's really going on. But, I mean, every minute that I watched, there was something to watch. You know what I mean? Like, whether it was an interview, they did a piece about Robert Wickens. There was always a battle, it seemed like, on track, or there'd be a crash or something crazy. It's just, I love the 24, and this year was definitely a special one.
Yeah, and so on this Ben Alex of the Broken Heart segment here, we have another topic. That was our first one. Another topic. This one hits a little closer because this is my prediction as well. Wayne Taylor just misses on making history. Pretty sad one. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah,
well, Jordan's the employee here. I'll let him talk about that.
This one was a tough one. I was actually in the pit box watching the final hour of this race, so it was very tough to see because they threw Ricky in the car, and he was probably the best. He was their best chance, honestly, without a doubt, to win this race. And when we saw the Meyer Shank guys throw Elio in the car, we knew that it was going to be a toe-to-toe battle between the both Acuras. And unfortunately, it just came down to the Meyer Shank Acura just having the better speed and the better driver at the time. You know, we were starting to fall. The Acura just started to lose grip in the rear towards the end of the race, and it was just hindering. It was just hindering the drive off of some of these corners with Ricky. But lap traffic did help towards the end, but they just played a better game. And unfortunately, when it comes to it, you want to win the race the right way. And the sucky part about it is that the Meyer Shank car was just a little bit better towards the end.
So I remember them talking about this on the broadcast, that fuel was an issue. So fuel was not an issue. It was just grit.
Yeah.
From what you're saying, right?
It was coming down to tire life at the end.
Okay. That's interesting because, on the interval and on obviously the broadcast, you just see the gap just gets huge all of a sudden. And it seemed like, wow, they're trying to save fuel at the end of the race. I'm surprised that, like, to me, that was very odd. Like,
yeah.
You guys have all the telemetry. So to me, it kind of seemed odd that you guys would have saved at the end.
Yeah.
So that does make sense.
The interesting thing about it, too, is because when they had that last yellow with about 30 minutes left and everybody pitted, the Meyer Shank guys just took fuel only. We added fuel as well, but we did also 2 tires in the rear. That was it because Ricky was losing rear grip. So that was the only adjustment we made at the end. And then the reason why we lost that much time, Calvin Fish and Dale Jr. were talking about this on the broadcast. Jr. brought up with about maybe 6 or 7 minutes to go that he was trying to save fuel. Calvin then said that, you can't save fuel towards the end of the race. If you're going to save fuel, it's got to be throughout the duration of the run. And that we weren't doing towards the end.
Right. So, I mean, that does make sense. So I'm glad you clarified that. So let's get into another one of our favorite segments here. Now, I do have something, or Jordan has something picked out, but I want to get a second version of this, kind of like what we did last week. So we're moving on to dumb things to do on the racetrack, which typically we use our own personal racing experiences, whether it's something we did on the racetrack or something we saw somebody else do on the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
So this first one is from the Rolex. So I think we could use that because Jordan and Bobby were both there. So I feel like that's pretty acceptable to use. But I also want to get one from Bobby after this. But first, let's talk about the Rolex. So the number 18 prototype spins out, leaving pit lane.
Yeah.
And backs out of the pits. Throws it in reverse and drives backwards down the access road, which, to provide context, the exit of pit lane at Daytona is very narrow because you've got that access road that sweeps around turn 1 and into the infield. So there's not a lot of room. Plus they had those pylons for the pit line, which is temporary. So it's really a car width wide, and it completely log jammed pit exit. It just looked funny. And I mean, was it you, Bobby, that said like the crowd reaction to it was just hilarious?
Yeah, I was in the fan zone when it happened, and I'm sitting there with my crew. I got done doing all the work, so I could sit down, enjoy a beer, watch the start of the Rolex, and it wasn't even like you saw him spin out. It was just all of a sudden on the broadcast. There's a car driving backwards down the pit lane, and like everyone was like, "Huh? What?" Like it was just shock. And this poor guy now is going to be forever known as the guy that, on the 24-hour race, before the clock even starts, you're backwards down the pit lane. And to add insult to injury, when he got out of the pit lane and he went to back straight out, he ended up going into the grass too to be able to get looped around. So it was crazy. I think I said something like, "Man, he's the world's best backwards driver." He gonna do the whole backwards.
That's definitely something you would say, Bob.
Yeah, and I had the whole group around me laughing too. But yeah, no, it was super,
look at you go. I'm so proud. Made new friends to Skip.
The funny part of all this is that he's backing up and he's literally looking at the guy. Like, there's another guy who they're obviously all coming out of the pit. So he's looking at the driver right behind him, dead straight in the eye, and be like, "Yep, I'm going backwards right now out of pit lane."
I'm not.
I just want to know what's going through that guy's mind. Like the guy that's the first guy in line that's coming out of the pits. There's a car going backwards in front of me, and you're looking this guy dead. I want to know what that guy was thinking.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is that really going backwards was kind of one of his only other options. Otherwise, he would have done like a 5 or 7 point turn trying to get himself straight out of the pits because that pit road is so narrow with both retaining walls on both sides. So
it would have been an Austin Powers moment.
Yeah, right. So he was kind of like limited on options, but to pick the one going backwards, I would say was probably the smartest option in his defense, but it was kind of the funniest and most ridiculous option too.
That almost ranks up with Austin Dillon driving the wrong way. I think it was in the Roar, or maybe it's just practice, but when he went around he was going into turn 6.
Oh yes,
so
I remember
back
this.
onto the track, onto the oval.
Oh yeah,
and he misses turn 6. So he goes around the back side of the barrier in turn 6. And
it really out of nowhere.
Turn 1. So he goes into turn 1 backwards and goes around the barrier to rejoin turn 6. And has obviously other cars coming at him. So,
my God.
There was also another instance from that race. I believe it was the number 20 prototype. I think it was an LMP2 that got junked in turn 1 and drove all the way back around the racetrack from turn 1. And car was totaled. It wasn't totaled. It actually finished the race, but it wasn't in a good condition to drive around the racetrack. And it was dropping debris everywhere. And this was late Saturday night, and the booth was giving the guy a lot of crap. Just pull over and stop.
Yeah.
Because he had 2 flat tires. He dropped the entire rear wing assembly. The car was just a mess. But they actually, within a few minutes, had him back on the racetrack. The car was fine, I guess. So.
It was the same thing with the number 18 I saw when the first wreck happened in the race. When he literally nosed when he underbraking into turn 6, had too much rear brake, and he lost it going into the wall. Actually hit injured one of the corner workers that was working at that corner station. But when he brought out the yellow, he went back into the garage area and they put a whole new nose assembly on along with suspension. I was like, wait, is that the car that just wrecked back on a pit road? And he only lost 8 laps. They really totaled the front end of the car and only lost 8 laps to get back on the racetrack. And I was like, do these guys have a whole front end ready to go, suspension assembly and everything, or do they just magically pull out a new car or something?
It's crazy. Well, I mean, even and this isn't just exclusive to this year. I mean, I've seen many times in the past where you'll see a guy pull into the garage, and within not even 10 laps, he's back on the racetrack because the lap is so long there. But also, to your point, Jordan, those guys are heavily equipped for something goes wrong. Spare parts and front clip, rear, body work, extra body work, just everything. If something, if they replace the diffuser, they can do it because they have all the spare parts to do so, and they do it pretty quickly. So it is pretty impressive.
And I'm going to take a shot at NASCAR really quick here. Best part of what I liked about watching the 24-hour IMSA race is that cars can go back into the garage and come back out on the racetrack.
Yes, sir. That's another knock. That's our weekly knock on NASCAR. We need that. Almost needs to be a segment in itself. I mean, we ripped.
It's not even. It's. If I say it's not even in plan, dude.
We ripped on them.
I think me and Zach. I think me and you ripped on each other more than we ripped on NASCAR.
That's fair. It was just one of those. Yeah. Hey, Bobby. Okay, so before we rip on NASCAR anymore, we got to get your dumbest thing that you've ever done on the racetrack. Let's rip on Bobby for a little bit.
Let's rip on Bobby, dude.
All right, Bobby.
What's ATN Network even stand for, Bobby? That's a real question.
Yeah, okay. First, answer that question.
Achieve the achievable. That's a very low bar for you. That's a very low bar. No, I know what it is. It's achieve the achievable. That's a very low bar, though, Bobby. Why don't you call above the achievable? We need to push ourselves, Bobby. Come on now. Skip.
Leave this guy alone.
I've known Bobby for way too long now, man. Gosh.
That's disrespectful.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Bobby.
Was there a question in there?
There is a question. And we're just going to mute Nate. We're just going to ignore it.
ATA, AB, AM. Achieve the achievable and more.
Yes. That might be a branding issue. ATA is kind of brief, so that's good. Okay. So first episode, we talked about how I crashed into a cornfield and it became a meme on Facebook. Last week, we talked about how Jed and Evan did some pretty goofy things on the racetrack, one of which Evan T-boned a kid in junior, and there was almost a fight. Bobby, what is the dumbest thing that you've ever done on a racetrack? And I'm sure it's documented.
Yeah, it's probably recorded
on your vlogs. So, clue us in. In your opinion, what's the dumbest thing you've ever done?
Oh, that is. Oh,
Wait,
This was
Before
pull
you-
us in,
before-
please.
before you answer this, I
so
think
random.
you should go the dumbest race because I've seen pretty dumb races between Bobby and Hunter.
Yeah.
So
oh, yeah. Oh,
I just got much more involved in this episode now.
I mean, I didn't even think about Hunter.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't even think about Hunter, but now that you say that, I mean, how long?
Who are you thinking about?
How long can we go on this show? Do we have 3 hours? Or
Oh, we got time.
just on Hunter bits, and then we can get to the
You know,
real stuff.
I remember the first episode, I was asked this question. I said, well, I work at the Gateway Carplex. I've seen a lot of stupid things there. I work there, though, so I can't say that much. Now, though, I technically don't work there anymore officially now. So, yeah. Eventually I can
So
say
now
some funny
Nate's just
stuff
letting
there,
it rip.
but Yeah.
Nate,
Oh,
Nate,
dude. Speaking of a 3-hour episode of the Carplex, man, holy crap, man! Just from watching you guys race, I don't know, Zach. I've seen you do some dumb things. I've seen Bobby do some
I've
dumb
done my
things.
share, yeah.
I'm being a corner worker over here. I see Bobby go on top of a go kart. I'm like, all right, guys, normal Saturday for us. Let's go, guys.
We could have an
Let's go.
entire episode of dumb things that I've done. So I will. I guess to give Bobby an idea of maybe one that he wants to talk about. This is just an example. There was one race where we both came out of the pits and spun on the outlap at the same time in 2 completely different corners. And this was the challenge. There's like 33, 35 guys. Bobby was pole, and I was like 11th. I was starting 11th. And Bobby spins on the outlap going in the chicane, and I spun out in the corner right before it. So that's...
Did I? I don't remember this.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
But that seems like something that I would try to forget. And if I clear the air and I'm truthful, the dumbest me and Hunter incident was the one where we had our little thing in the chicane on the extension layout.
Yes.
Like we went side by side. He had the first corner, went into the second one, and he kind of ran into me. And then I tried killing him for the 6 or 7 laps afterwards. That wasn't really his fault in a sense. It was his corner. I should have backed out of it. And then the time before with me and Hunter, it was Evan because he decided to brake 20 feet early. So Hunter plows in the back of him, and I've got nowhere to go, and I got these 2 carts right in front of me, and it's like, okay, well, time to team up. And then Hunter spins me.
Oh yeah, I bet you were so
Hunter
upset. I
spins
bet you were
me.
so upset about that. Oh crap, time to shoot.
Hunter spun me when we were going through the field. He spun me because he thought that I spun him out. But Hunter didn't realize that he was the whole reason that all happened. But no, going back, the dumbest thing that's happened. God. So I'll say a recent one, and this is just me being, really just over aggressive for no reason. Was the one of the few Ignite races I ran last year. It was when I tried killing Spike Colbecker. I really tried to murder a lot of people.
Yeah, you almost flipped. That wasn't even your cart. That was
and I almost flipped because of it.
that ended up being a junior cart.
We go, yeah. So on the start of the race, Spike put Trevor in the wall blatantly. I don't care. You look at my GoPro footage, Spike is
From an outsider's perspective, it looks pretty bad.
He didn't make
What's
many
the parental
friends.
rating on this show? What can I say
whatever you
about
want.
certain people?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, whatever you're about to say, just know it'll be a trailer for this next episode. It's good clickbait. So go ahead, Bobby. Let's get into it,
let's
baby.
hear
We
it,
gotta get the views up, man.
This is
Let's
promo
go.
footage.
Clip it. What's up?
I don't think Spike is a very respectful driver when he gets behind the wheel of a cart. There's an expectation level on him. Same thing with Stommer, but Stommer's a little bit more classy with it.
That's not true.
That,
No, it's
as
not.
being a Formula car driver, that you're supposed to be towards the front of the field.
Yeah.
And so he drives way over his head, and he does a lot of dumb things, including putting Trevor in the wall. And I started leading the race early on. He kind of dive bombed me down at that kinks into the 180, and for Trevor's sake, I'm not running for points. I just watched you put Trevor in the wall. Trevor didn't do anything. He literally did not do anything and just went in the wall. So next lap, I just full send it, and I overshot it, and I clipped my rear tire on his front tire, and I saw my life flash before my eyes as I'm over 50, 60 degrees up in the air about to crunch myself under a go-kart. I don't know how. I will say one good thing about Margay, and I can say a lot more other things, but one thing I'll say is they built a pretty darn solid kart because I hit him hard and I didn't flip. This low center of gravity on those Margay Ignite K3s Freeber knows how to build a solid one. So, man, I
Listen.
got so lucky. I got so lucky I didn't flip over. I continued the race on a bent axle. Was the only damage that I got from that incident. But if I would have got to him, I really wish he would have been picking red barriers at the start at the end of that race. So.
Spike did not move when that happened. You freaking hit him hard, and he went nowhere.
He must have doped his tires up with cement.
That-
I swear to
that-
God. He went through that corner like nothing happened. I just like bounced off the front of him, was going over, and he just kept going.
Well, for knowing how small he is, he probably had so much weight on the cart that it just kept the cart so sturdy.
I mean, you could have at least like swiped him
like-
on the way by. You know,
I always ask Jake Walsh this. If you ever get T-boned and flip, dude, you might die. Like, you have so much weight in that
Well, he
cart,
weighs
dude.
like 5
It's gotta be unsafe. I tell him all the time. I'm like, Jake, this has gotta be unsafe, bro.
he weighs like
It's-
5 pounds. though.
Jake, he'd flip, and then he'd just get pissed off.
He probably
and
would.
He would be fine. He'd be fine. Just get pissed off.
He
Yeah.
would throw the
Dude,
cart off.
I've seen how mad he gets on iRacing. Okay, dude, I would not want to wreck that.
Hey, he
kid.
probably pulled Hunter
Yeah.
Richardson in 2017 at Indy when he flipped.
Oh, he punted
Yeah,
his
he
helmet.
punted his helmet and
Yeah.
broke his foot.
See, I thought he just spiked it. I didn't realize
No,
he
he
punted
punted.
it.
He kicked it.
Okay,
He took his helmet off, put it on the ground, and literally kicked it.
time out though. We gotta add context to this. Okay, so this is a big event. This is Indy. This is the first Indy. Okay, and in Ignite Senior, we had like 42, 43 carts.
This is so stupid.
I mean, like in the drivers' meeting, they stress if you get in a crash, get out of the way. Like if your cart can't continue, get out of the cart, get the cart out of the way, get the safety. Hunter was flipped over in the middle of the track, and I mean, there's carts everywhere. People going through the grass. I went from like 40th to like 14th because there were so many carts. Like we were 6 wide, trying to avoid all this chaos. I mean, a lap around Indy at that point was like 117, somewhere around there, 116 probably.
Maybe longer.
Maybe. Because we were on the Bridgestones at the time.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, he flips, gets up, takes his helmet off, and then punts it. I'm sure the corner workers are going insane. I'm sure whoever's on the radio, race control, is probably going insane. Like, what's this kid doing? There's cars coming back around. But, like, I knew he did something to his helmet. I didn't realize he punted it, though. That's actually pretty funny.
And this wasn't even like the final race. It was a pre-final. But we all knew that if something happens in that race, you're going to be screwed for the final race.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we can have a whole
We didn't
episode.
even get to we did get to Bobby's experience.
We got to Bobby's experience. Bobby is we got to one of his experiences out of 95 probably at least. Yeah. So next thing we have here, next segment is called Wings and Things, which is another segment we have. All right. Anyways, Wings and Things. Indy Lights testing Laguna Seca. Jordan, go.
Yeah, so a lot of the drivers, obviously, from the Road to Indy and Indy Lights Series are going to be out at Laguna Seca testing this next coming weekend. Quite a bit, I will say. I think there's, 13 or 14 cars that are going to be out there. So we got the 4 Andretti cars of, obviously, Christian Rasmussen, Hunter McElroy, Stingray Robb, and I'm losing the last
Frost.
one. Frost, Daniel Frost. Thank you very much.
Daniel Frost.
Yeah, they're all going to be out there on the testing that weekend, as well as HMDs bringing their 4 cars of Christian Bogle, Manuel Suleiman, Benjamin Peterson is another one.
Peterson.
Don't think Lundqvist has signed with them yet. I'm not 100%.
I thought he was.
Matty Brabham was with
Brad was
Andretti.
with Andretti, so they got 5 cars actually. I forgot about Matty Brabham.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they're going to be out there as well.
Whoa.
Like I said, I think Linus is signed with them as well. I haven't heard much about that, but TJ Speed's as well going to be out there with their 2 cars of Kiffin Simpson and James Rowe Jr. And then Jacob Abel is going to be out there with Abel Motorsports. And then Ernie Francis Jr. is coming out there as well with the new Force Indy team that was just announced over the weekend as well. So a lot of the big names in the Indy Lights Series are going to be out there testing. It's going to be one of, I think, the 3 remaining tests that they have left. We have a test out at Homestead, I think, and going back to Sebring, I think, sometime next week.
Anybody else have anything comment on that? Zach,
I
you done dying?
I got something.
What's up?
So
Yeah.
So last year, one of the things at Skip Barber that I got to do that was really fun was I got to go to SRX.
Oh
And
yes,
you want to talk
this.
about a talented young driver, Ernie Francis Jr.
Totally agree.
I expect big things out of him. Just everything that he did. I think he ran, FR last year, maybe select races, and ran SRX at the same time. Like I think he was like going between Mid Ohio and Eldora or something in the same weekend, like something crazy.
Road
Because
America and Eldora.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he's I think in my opinion he's the real deal. Super nice guy too behind the scenes. Every time that I've always reached out and talked to him, just as the random crew guy walking through, he's always giving me time and always talk. So to be able to have good personality and talent behind the wheel, I he gets the Bobby Krug stamp of approval, whatever kind of value that holds.
I could definitely
A
say
lot
the
to me,
same.
Bobby. Don't worry.
I was at that Eldora race at SRX, and I stopped to talk to him after the race, and he was talking to his family, and I think probably maybe his PR person if he has one. I don't know. There was a group of people standing around him, and I came up and was talking to him a little bit, and he was just a really cool guy. Like I know he hangs out with Tony Stewart a little bit, camps at some sprint car races. I think he was camping with him at like Knoxville this past year, and he just seems like a good kid. And I mean, everything that he's ever driven, he's been competitive in. He won an SRX, he won an FR, he was a 7-time Trans Am champion by the time he was 23. Um, yeah, and he's done a little bit of stock cars. He did a little bit of like K&N, and he did like one Xfinity race. But
Well, Jordan, you race
Yeah.
against
yeah,
him. What
Jordan
do you
raced
think?
against him.
Last year, yeah, I did race against him last year.
Did you beat him?
I did actually, yes. That VIR, we beat him multiple times. We beat him a
Jordan
couple times.
to
Yeah.
Indy Lights.
But
There you go.
it was his first year in open wheel. So he's never been in the open wheel car before, and it was a tough car for him to learn too. But using the experience of learning from a big heavy Trans Am car, also helped with the power to weight ratio of the FR car. So he was able to catch on to it pretty quickly. Won his first race at Mid Ohio last year, and then obviously got 2 wins out of VIR. Was able to finish third in the championship. So Ernie himself, he'll catch on to it pretty quickly. But I feel like he mentioned in his comments too when he announced that he was going to be with Force Indy. He may struggle early on at the beginning of the year, kind of like he did in FR. But I want to say right around the midway point of the season around Road America, we could see a tide turn with Ernie and start to see his true colors being shown. Whether it's going to be mid-pack or up towards the front winning races, I would say somewhere around Road America is when we'll see Ernie getting his gears going.
I think that you have to be on it to be competitive in Indy Lights. I mean, you're talking a couple of tenths from first to eighth in that class. I mean, it's crazy. I saw the preseason testing, and even last year, it's just crazy. So I think he's going to struggle early on, but like you said, I think midpoint in the season he'll catch on and be more. I think mid pack would be a good place for him to be.
So I want to kind of transition a little bit. Sorry, Nate, I'm taking your job for 1 second. Bobby mentioned
you're good.
SRX. SRX just came out with their schedule this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be going to Pensacola, Florida at Five Flags Speedway, going to South Boston Speedway, Stanford Motor Speedway, Nashville Fairgrounds, I-55 Raceway, and then Sheridan Race Speedway to end the season off. Those will be the 6 short track races.
They're going to Peevely, I-55, which is, St. Louis area, so that's great. It's pretty cool. I remember I saw a little thread on Facebook how, people really wanted Kenny Wallace to be the guest driver, and how he said he would not be the guest driver for that because he wanted to be like a local, which I think is cool. He's, leaving that potential opportunity up for a local, like a true local driver to take that. But, yeah, I mean, they're going to great tracks again. I think the racing is going to be great. I think it kind of sucks that we don't go back to Eldora or Slinger because I think those are great races. However, exploring different opportunities is going to be good for SRX. And I really hope at some point in the near future they do go to Bowman Gray because I think that would be a great race too.
Slinger would have been a good track to be back on the schedule.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine, I will say, all that NASCAR, Wesley Riddle, shout out to him, came out with a suggestion list of the 2022 roster. And he said, obviously, these are his suggestions. Tony Stewart, Jeremy Mayfield, Ward Burton, Kenny Wallace, like you mentioned, Matt Kenseth, Robbie Gordon, Mark Webber, Tommy Kendall, Sam Hornish Jr., Danica Patrick, Steve Kinzer, and Ken Block.
So I like those names. I think they're very realistic. However, I think if I had to guess, I think they would probably want to keep a similar dynamic of what they did last year, where they had
Mhm.
10 full timers and a ringer, I guess what you call it, and also a local, I guess you could say. Like they had Doug. Was it Doug Kobe? Was he a ringer or was he a local? But guy, you know what I mean. Like they had a local guy like
Yeah, I
was
think
it
he was
Luke
a local.
Fenhouse at Slinger?
Mhm.
Um, just guys like that, and then you have a ringer. Like so, for example, Scott Speed was a ringer. Um, I would think they continue that, but it would be cool to have 12 full time drivers. I also heard Dave
Yep.
Blaney's name tossed around a little bit.
Yep, his name was in there.
So
Yep. All right. So if we want to kind of move on now, we're going to go on to really our main show topics here from all those little subtopics we had at the beginning. We went a little off track at the beginning, though, and we talked a lot about Bobby, different stuff like that. So our technical first main topic here is our guest here, Bobby Krug. So, Jordan, if you want to take it over from here.
Yeah, so I mean, and this was kind of the whole point of the show was kind of main guest topic was to be Bobby's kind of racing experience. So obviously, we've talked a little bit about your past racing experience. Why don't you tell us about what's going to happen in the next coming year? What are we expecting out of Bobby Krug when the calendar obviously has flipped to 2022 this year? Are you able to announce anything?
I could go for some beers this year. Hopefully some more pools. I'd like to get in the pool more this year.
Hot tub?
Hot tub, yeah, hot tub this time of year for
mountain
sure.
climbing.
Really just gotta get the cardio going again. I haven't been on a treadmill in like ever. But no, being serious. So I have announced at this point that I will race the full season in the 2022 Skip Barber Race Series. 7 races. We'll start off Memorial Day weekend at Lime Rock Park. So Lime Rock Park in the Formula car is going to be a blast. Going to a lot of tracks. Actually, it's basically a lot of the tracks we ran last year are kind of off the schedule. So we're going to a bunch of different places that I've never been on before. Sebring, New Jersey Motorsports Park, Road America. I mean, just a bunch of historic tracks. It's just so cool. And the cool thing with Skip Barber that, part of the reason why I'm getting this opportunity is, I'm sure we all know the history of Skip Barber. Just, one of the most legendary racing schools in the country. Went bankrupt, it went through its struggles. And now under the new ownership, all the debt's been paid off from the old Skip Barber and the unpaid dues and what's in the green. And it's everything that we've got going on at Skip Barber. It's just growing, and it's so positive with the TC America program we have, the Formula stuff, our Mustang schools, our Formula car schools, and if we weren't with the record button and we weren't going public, I could tell you guys about 100 other things that we got going on behind the scenes. Building a karting center on the East Coast with potentially more to come. Really, want to do what we've all talked about, kind of that path from karting into Formula cars. And, if Skip Barber can pull off a thing where they can be that whole ladder system, and, that's kind of the ultimate goal. And to be able to expand to different genres of motorsports,
Sorry, could you say that again?
No, I won't, Siri. Shut up. I'm not talking to you.
No, but for real, that's really awesome to hear, honestly, from Skip Barber. Because, Bobby and I were actually at their first school with their F4 cars, and it was so you could see the excitement in the coaches and employees' eyes at Skip Barber. They had a plan, and they accomplished it. I mean, they're still accomplishing it, and they're keeping on growing, and it's great to hear that, honestly. So it's great news.
I will say personally for myself, I mean, when I saw that they were coming back, I was like, they're coming back and they're going to Indy. So I looked into that myself, and I was going to be there that Tuesday. They had a school on Tuesday. It was a 1 day, and I was going to do that. And a couple goofs on my part, and basically the seats were full by the time I wanted to do it, and it just didn't work out after that. But yeah, I mean, I will say, I mean, they have a lot of things that make people want to be there. You know what I mean? It's a great school, I think, and I think obviously Bobby's a great example of it. It gives you the tools that you need to start your racing career.
Yeah, and it's for me, obviously I'm in a different situation where, I've been kind of, I work with them, I've got this opportunity, I know a lot of the people that work there, but, as far as like a good series for a driver to jump into, you're not looking at the same expensive price point jumping into a Formula Series. It's not just racing Formula cars against other drivers. It's a spec series. Everyone's on the same chassis. You don't have, specific teams know different things. It's one of those things, you don't know what you don't know. So maybe one team has more money for, resources and finding stuff. It's all the same chassis. It's kind of like, think if I drive at Gateway Carplex. You just show up, get in the car, go out there and race. And to be able to have, the racing school functionality embedded into the series to where you have that video feedback in between sessions. We have the classroom in between. You're still always learning. And, whether you're just starting in motorsports and you're going to jump headfirst into the Formula car, or you're an experienced veteran in racing and you just want to freshen up your skills. Skip Barber has, so many different programs for so many different things. And just being a part of this rebuilding process it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to have their support and them, wanting to put me in the car again. It's just, like we talked about before, my story's crazy, and it just, every year I just have to pinch myself harder because it keeps getting crazier. So, and it's crazy too, because like I'm running a Jordan, like it seemed like every weekend, like I was down in Sebring when he was testing. Yep. I was down for the Rolex every time last year that we would run into each other, during all the SRO events. So it's cool to be, to see, and Evan in Mid-Ohio. It's crazy to, all these people that I'm seeing that I've raced karts with that have, lucky like myself, get the opportunity to move up and still be running in all these people. So I'm just so humbled by everything. So I just can't thank them enough. Skip Barber is awesome. Gotta check them out.
On that topic real quick of you seeing like Jordan on kind of stuff a lot, it is a little off topic, but it's on topic. I don't know. It is the most annoying thing ever having you and Jordan on Snapchat. Every single day I get videos you guys doing something new, and I'm sitting in class. One day, and I think it was like Sebring or something, like IndyCar testing, and Jordan's behind a hotel recording videos of it. I'm in class. I said to Snapchat, like, dude, I'm in class. I'm bored as crap right now. You don't need to flex on me. Or Bobby would be in some, like, sitting in some Formula car. And I'm like, all right, dude, this is cool. I'm sitting in my math class right now. But all right, you do you, bro. I don't know. It's like, dang, I hate these people.
Or it's like a video. Or we get a video of Corey climbing into the Ray Hall IndyCar or BMW.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, bro, these guys suck, dude. Like, I have nothing cool going on, bro. Like, golly.
Hey, but on a serious note, for people out there that this show is about, I think in the promo it was like taking people into the garage area and seeing the behind the scenes of what racing is all about. And Nate, you're in a good position. It's all about who you know. Yeah. I mean, it's not all that, but it's pretty important. So surrounding yourself with people that are in the garage area, making those connections, it's very important.
Yeah, no, I like being here, hanging out with you guys. It's fun, but that's the main reason I'm here. I mean, it's same thing. It's something like sorry. No, it's let me say it like that. But it's same thing like what I want to do, like career wise. Like just yesterday, I went to my dad's game, and we played Richmond. And after the game, I talked to the coach for a little bit, and he's a really cool guy. I met him a little bit, and now I'm gonna have him on my show here. I talk college basketball all the time, like next week, and he's a coach like 4 or 5 different D1 basketball schools. It's things like that. It's all about who you know in this life. So
it's pretty cool.
That's another reason I'm here, though. So thanks, guys. Appreciate having me.
So let's transition into the Rolex. We've talked about it a lot, and let's kind of wrap it up, put a bow on it. I mean, to me, from a fan's aspect, that was a race fan's race.
Yes.
Like if you love just racing, doesn't matter what kind, that's the race nonstop, 24 hours. You had to be in tune with it because there's always something going on, and it was just epic.
Now, there was one thing I want to talk about, and Bobby can attest to this too, since he was at the race and kind of got to witness it. It was IMSA's first race of doing a GT Pro and a GTD class, all GT3 cars. And can I say, for Daytona aspect, was probably the greatest move they ever did, because you just basically turn a GT field of 30-some cars and turned it into a Daytona road course, actually like a pack race. Like, I remember the guys coming by the start-finish line one time, and there were at least a pack of 8 or 9 cars together, and 2 of the rows were 3 wide. So you were literally seeing a road course Daytona race on an actual oval. So I would say hands down is probably the best decision they ever did. But you also are getting a lot of mixed class racing, which is technically what IMSA is all about.
It was super entertaining. I mean that I was on and off the whole thing. I watched the beginning of it, and then like I kind of didn't really keep up with it. I kept up with it, but I was busy doing other things, the whole weekend really. So I tried to keep up with it, but I watched the ending though, and I don't think I've been like that intense like watching racing, but it really wasn't that long ago since like the Lewis Hamilton and Max stuff, the Formula One seasons. So it's kind of funny how like it wasn't that it literally the end of racing season, and then the first race back, it's like it's already as intense as that almost.
So
it's crazy. It's a great start.
That night or that morning, actually, that Nate's talking about the F1 race. Nate and I were in Trevor Eggemeyer's basement because the night before it was me, Nate, Trevor, Ryan Bierke, Grant Palmer, and there might have been like maybe a couple other people. We all stayed the night at Trevor's house so we could get up the next morning and watch the F1
Those are the
race.
only ones that stayed the night, yeah.
And like his parents made us breakfast and everything, and we watched probably one of the greatest F1 championship battles ever. And we were screaming at our TV that entire last lap. Like, it was
I think Trevor's. We were all standing like behind the couch. We were all going crazy. Ryan looks at me, I'm shaking my shoulders and jumping up and down. And Brian was trying to take a video of all of us going crazy, but he didn't hit record. He started yelling at me like, "No!" I'm like, "What are you mad about? I didn't hit record." I'm like, "I don't care." But no, it was. Oh, that was a great moment though. That whole thing was
great success.
Fantastic.
One last thing I want.
Yeah, but no, I like. Yeah, but like I haven't like it's so funny. That was like for me personally. Like, I mean, there's other stuff racing, there's some things going on, but that was like the last moment of like racing the whole season for me at least. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden IMSA comes back and it's just right back at the action. To start off the year. So it was amazing.
One thing I want to talk about before we wrap up this section is, can we talk about I should say Colton Herta's last pass for the win on Louis Delatraz?
Yeah.
LMP2. Yeah.
The reaction from Pato O'Ward after that incident is bar none the best reaction I've ever seen on how he
when he grabbed the camera and started shaking it. That's got to be the thumbnail because I have a screenshot of it.
Zach, you sent me a text, and I don't know. Nobody. It was. I think it was on the Carfax work group chat. Nobody appreciated the joke, but I liked it. I laughed at it. It literally said me on Christmas morning. It was just shaking it. Nobody even noticed it. I'm like, yeah, this is that was funny. I'm gonna give him that. That was hilarious. Yeah. But no, that picture will forever be a meme now.
That's gonna be the thumbnail for this episode where he's shaking the camera.
You just got
Bobby Krug's here. Yeah. Oh no, he's not.
He just fell out.
Never mind him.
Nate,
I was trying to say something nice about him.
Curse. As soon as you said that, he fell out.
Just happened. But no,
I said Bobby Krug's here, and then he just leaves. Never mind.
But I do want to talk about how beautiful of a move it was that he just dived into the inside. Louis just didn't see him until at the very last second. That's when he kind of bailed, went through the grass, and almost took Colton out on his way back onto the racetrack as well. But just to see the reaction from Pato was just insane and just such a meme to be had, and it was awesome that they actually got the camera on it at the point.
Well, and I think there's something to be said that it was for the win, so it was like, that was kind of sketchy move to make, but it was for the win. Now, if this was hour 3 and he made that move, it'd be like, come on, man, chill out. But I mean, Colton knew what he's doing, going for the win. I mean, you're gonna do it. It's the Rolex, and you have to.
And that's what Colton said too. He mentioned in one of his post-race interviews that it's for the Rolex, it's for the win. And it's like, this is our one and only shot and one and only race we're doing. We don't care. I mean, we're not going back for another race after that with that Dragon Speed team. So they're just going to lay it all on the line, and whatever happens, basically. So, it's part of racing. In a big race like this, you're going to lay it all on the line, no matter what the consequences are. You deal with them later.
I will say, and I don't think we really talked about this much, the cold air, the weather, the temperature kind of was a big factor, being so cold. I remember a topic, and this might have been an overnight conversation that they had on the broadcast, that, running the tire pressure so low that the sidewall was starting to fold over. And if you hit the curbs, it could possibly puncture the tire because it was kind of creasing so much. Not to mention just the lack of grip because there was no heat in the track and it took long because the tires are harder tires and it just took forever to get them up to temperature. So that was a big factor. That we had 16 full course yellows, but for what it was, the racing was just crazy. It was just, I don't know. It was just one of those races. I think it was one of the best 24s ever.
So now we go from probably one of the biggest races in 2022 to the most anticipated
more
race
NASCAR
in
standards.
2022.
Oh, that's a nice way to put it. But yeah.
You know, I really, from a marketing standpoint, instead of naming this the Busch Light Clash, they should have just named it the Busch Light Crash, because that's like all it's going to be. I mean, honestly, let's be real with ourselves here.
We thought,
You know what's so funny about this new Clash this year is like I see all the boomers on Facebook get mad about like they should have done it this track or this. Oh, there goes Evan now. They should have done it this track or this track, you know. But it's like, guys, this, you know how much money they're gonna make from this? This is a money making thing. This is a promotion, you know. We're going to LA Coliseum, you know. It's not, they're not doing it for the racing.
yeah.
People are like, oh, they should go this track. They're not doing it for racing. They're doing it for promotional, marketing, all that kind of
So
stuff.
did you notice that the race is not sold out?
Really?
There's a 60. So the capacity for NASCAR is 67,000. I think it was maybe Adam Stern that reported that there were expected 50,000 fans going to be in attendance. So I think if all these numbers line up to be correct, it's not going to be sold out. Which is kind of surprising.
I wonder how much tickets are. Like, you know how much like
They're
a general
probably pretty
admission
expensive,
is?
but also 50,000
Yeah.
people for a race like that
Yeah.
actually is pretty good.
Well, the whole idea of it is it'd be a marketing and promotional scheme. It's not
Well,
for racing. I mean, it's pretty
definitely.
obvious. I've said that. I feel like in the first episode I mentioned how like cash is king in NASCAR so much now and like what they do, and it's like I don't know, but this is all just
Well,
promotional.
Adam
stuff,
Stern, I think, reported that I think it was 70% of these like tickets that were sold are fans that had never been to a NASCAR race before.
Wow.
Yeah, it's marketing. Yeah, NASCAR is doing so many different things right
Well-
now, and you gotta wonder sometimes, is it too much? Like I said, this first episode too. It's like they're getting to a point where it's like, for me personally, I've fallen out of NASCAR in the past couple of years. It's like I'd much rather prefer IMSA like over NASCAR, Formula One, or IndyCar. So it's like I could not care less, but I could like I could not pay attention to it, be fine. But it's still like I would like to like be a fan of it. But what if you are a fan of it and you're not liking anything they're doing right now? That's kind of a tough situation.
The
But-
amount of changes that they're doing. Go ahead, Evan.
Oh, I'll be quick. Yeah, but I mean, it's getting everybody's attention though. They're doing all this
exactly.
stuff. I mean, you might not like it, but you're still tuned in. So
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, like, you're looking at all these changes and their rapid pace. Like, we don't even get used to the change. Like, there's a change here. Next thing you know, we're making halfway through the season another change, and then it's another change.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we're expecting all this change, but is it making the product any better, or is it just luring fans in just from the anticipation standpoint? Like, are we luring the fans to watch this LA Clash for good racing, or are we just looking at for like anticipation to bring fans in to see, oh, what's this all about?
yeah,
So I want to make a comparison quick, and I'll kind of, leave it at that. So I want to kind of throw back to IndyCar when they used to race on all these big speedway ovals, and it was pack racing. It was insane. It was crazy. You had photo finishes. It was probably pretty much all the closest finishes in IndyCar history were in this era. But it was also incredibly dangerous. I mean, we saw probably the most injuries and fatalities in a span of time since the 60s or 70s, where safety was non-existent back then. And this was a case where safety was constantly evolving in IndyCar. I want to make the comparison in that now, we have this pack style racing on intermediate tracks in NASCAR. And not that it's unsafe for NASCAR, but impractical in that IndyCar stopped doing this because you're borderline almost killing drivers every time you have this style of race. So they put it back in the driver's hands to where, the driver could do more with the car. Maybe it hurt the racing in that they weren't super close, they weren't in a pack, but the driver could do more with the car. And now, NASCAR, they've got this pack style of racing on intermediate tracks. Part of me really wishes they would just put it back in the driver's hands, because the drivers can't really do as much. You kind of get stuck in a bubble. They're racing close, and it looks cool because they're in a pack, but they can't pass each other. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, the optics are like, hey, this looks cool, but the drivers really can't do much. So, I feel like you should throw them a bone and kind of put it back in their hands from a driving standpoint.
The racing has always been better whenever the drivers can control the race.
I agree. And I think hopefully that's what we're going to see with this new car. However, it seems like they're still heavily focused on aerodynamics being a heavy, heavy role. So we'll see. I mean, you're never going to be able to take aerodynamics out of racing. But hopefully NASCAR did what is going to make the racing exciting.
So as we get closer to the LA Clash, I just have one little thing I want to talk to you guys about compared to the Rolex again. Do you think over/under more yellows than what the Rolex 24 had,
Yes.
which was 16? Is there being more yellows?
I think so. I think it's reasonable. I mean, if we're talking like all the heat races and everything total, or are you talking about the main?
The main race,
Wait, how long is the main? How many laps?
150.
Yes. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they do get more than 16.
I don't think so.
I'd say like 17 or 18, but no more. All right, let's jump into Bozo of the Week.
Oh boy.
Everything's changing, but everything's the same. We're gonna go with Patrick Mahomes.
Brittany Matthews, congratulations!
Again. Okay, but for this reason is, I don't know if anybody saw this on Twitter, but after she kind of got cyber attacked, I guess you could say, about spraying champagne on fans after, in 20-degree weather after winning the game against the Bills. And she played the victim card. I'm like, you sprayed champagne on fans in 20-degree weather. What do you expect?
Hey, racing podcast, Zach. Racing podcast.
Yeah, it's a racing podcast. But that's the Bozo of the Week.
So imagine you got Lewis Hamilton, right? And you got freezing cold fans down below. And they're spraying champagne on freezing cold fans.
Yeah.
For your racers out there, come on. We got to dumb it down a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into predictions, because last week Jordan and I actually picked the winners. Jordan actually predicted a 1-2 finish for Acura, which was pretty impressive. And then I picked the 60 car to win.
Look how happy he looks.
So
I hate that.
Fantasy.
Look how happy he is.
Jordan has 2
Jordan.
points.
God,
I have 1 point. Everybody else has 0 points.
Hey, let's go, y'all. I'm tired with Evan Stauber, baby. Let's go. Come on now. Still in the race. Not like my fantasy football, though. Golly, it sucked.
We're going to do 2 predictions again. Predict the winner and predict something obscure. It can be anything. But predict something obscure that is going to happen. I'm going to start first. My prediction is, I'm going to say Truex wins the Clash. And I'm going to say we have a car catch on fire.
Okay.
I mean, think about this.
Yeah.
There's going to be lots of crashes. There's going to be a car that catches on fire. Let's be real. So that's going to be my prediction. Nate, I'm going to toss it to you. Let's go clockwise around the room. Nate, what's your 2 predictions?
I got to think here. Kind of put my spot. I forgot about we're doing these predictions. Okay, 1 prediction. Kyle Busch is going to crash.
Okay.
That's my first prediction. Whether it's himself.
Who's not going to crash, though?
Yeah, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Kyle Busch going to crash. Dude, hey, get into the fantasy points.
So
Come on now.
let's clarify. Do you say Kyle Busch gets damaged, or
No.
he crashes and has to retire from the race?
Like a spin.
Come on now. I didn't. Okay, there's going to be a caution in this race. No. Okay, let me give me a second here. Okay, I think, you know what? I'm going to say Kyle Larson wins this.
Okay.
Just because it's a safe bet. Okay, I'm
Safe
taking
bet.
fantasy points. I do like your Truex. I was thinking Truex for a little bit there, like while you were going and you said Truex. But I think Kyle Busch will retire. I'm going to just say that just because.
Okay.
I think Kyle Busch is fully going to get so much damage he retires the car, and I think Larson takes the win.
Okay. That's a fair
That'd be mine.
prediction. Jordan, what you got?
So, for my prediction, I'm going to go ahead and say Denny Hamlin wins. Because Denny Hamlin seems to do good when we go to a different track, as well as, especially he does good on short tracks as well. And then I'm going to say for my prediction, well, the race starts at night.
Ooh.
I'm going to say power outage.
I was going to guess
But
power
go power
outage. Why not? That would be the race that a power outage takes place.
Gateway
100%.
flashbacks, dude.
All right, Eastom 253. What do you got for us? Predictions. Give us two.
Oh, I'm gonna go with a Chase Elliott win. I want to go with Larson, but
I like that. Chase Elliott. Let's go.
go with Chase Elliott win. Bold prediction. I really don't think there's going to be as many cautions as we think, but oh man, I don't know.
This is like the war room. We're crunching numbers. It's
Yeah,
like
right?
fantasy stuff. This is big time.
Do you
This
want to
is
do like
serious.
do you want to do like if you say I think a good one. I like this one. I'm not gonna make this my official one, but like under what 6 cautions, under 5 cautions.
I'll say under 6 cautions. 6 and under.
6 cautions in the
Six
main.
is
It can be 6, but under 2. So
Okay, 6 or less cautions
6 or less
in
cautions.
the main. Okay, that's fair. All right, Bobby.
So Bobby's
That's a very
predicting a red
realistic
flag
prediction.
in general.
Because think about
red
this.
flag,
When they
but no
did
non-racing related red flag. Maybe that's a
Bristol
good
Dirt.
way to put it.
Bristol Dirt, they had so many issues with that track. So just think about it. I mean, it's
It's gonna be awful.
I feel bad
I'm
for
gonna
the
be honest
small
with you. I'm
teams.
sorry
Let's
to
be
say
real
it.
here. I mean, there's gonna be a
It's
lot of
gonna
torn
be-
up stuff. These cars,
You know, we're all kind of we all say our negative stuff here, but I feel like every single one of us though are gonna be in front of our
Watch it
TVs.
rain
Oh.
like
Like we're all
100%.
gonna be ready. Like Evan said, we're all gonna be watching this
100%,
thing and see how
yeah.
it goes.
Watch it
So
rain.
I guarantee.
Watch it rain like New
Oh,
Hampshire.
can I change?
Uh,
I need to change my prediction. This will be this. I'm gonna look this up after the race. This is a bold prediction. Actually, it really isn't that bold. The TV rating, the watchers is going to be higher than any single race of last year.
If
The
you
TV
get this
watchers.
right, I will
The
make a
TV
deal.
The TV,
I will make a deal.
The
That-
Nielsen
I think that's what happened.
watchers.
the viewers, whatever it
Sounds
is,
like a
watchers,
sports-
viewers,
Daytona 500.
Yeah, more than the
oh,
500.
bigger,
I will make
Bigger.
a deal.
No,
bigger.
I will.
Nate, come on.
Everything new with the Clash, bigger.
I will
Okay,
make a deal
guys.
on this
Well,
one.
Nate's got 0 points of fantasy again this week, so
If Nate gets this right, and this
Yes.
is the most attended or most watched race, I will give him double points.
okay.
No,
I agree with that.
Like of
There's
any
no
race
way
in
it's
last
happening.
year.
Yes, if any race
Any
from
race
last
from last
year,
year.
including the 500,
This will be a
if
bigger-
this is bigger and
yeah.
better, the attendance
Mhm.
rate or the
You
watching
know what?
rating,
I think it will be.
you will get double points.
Does that include both my picks of
Correct.
Kyle Larson
It
winning if he
includes
does
both your
win?
picks. That
So,
pick alone
okay.
will
So
be
you can
double
get 4
points.
Easiest 4 points of my life. Easiest 4 points of my life. I'm jumping ahead here, boys.
Nate.
I'm winning. I'm the only non-driver
sold.
here, and I'm going to win the
Dude,
fantasy.
Nate just sold.
Only non-driver here, and I'm winning.
No way.
Okay, we want to talk about selling out. Nate just sold. Evan sold
Dude,
because he's
easy.
wearing ATA Network merch. I sold because I'm wearing my merch. Bobby sold because he's wearing his merch. Jordan's
I'm wearing
not
my merch.
He's
I'm
not
not
wearing my
but
merch.
I will say I have
We're
merch
all
coming
wearing.
within
We're
the
all
next
wearing
month.
somebody's merch.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that. Holy crap! I'm just kidding. No, that's fine. Though. I think that's pretty much it. Really, that's the last kind of thing we have here. Anyone have any closing statements or
Well,
just tell Bobby
Zach's
to love
jacked
him?
up a Mountain Dew.
Yeah. I literally just drank one right here before we started. So that's started off my Monday great.
I haven't
First
stepped
off,
up.
Bobby, thanks for coming on, dude. I mean, we all know your story. It's been well documented, but we appreciate you taking time to come on. Your busy schedule, talk to us, and we know there's great things ahead for you. And we would just want to wish you good luck and thanks for being here. We definitely got to have you back on, and it doesn't bother me. I mean, we could have you on several times this year. That would be pretty cool, I think. So
Bothers me a bit, but I'll get over
Yeah,
it.
Nate will get over
you know,
everything.
We'll just lock Nate up for that episode.
Got a visor, dude.
So
See, guys, I race now, dude. Come on now. I'm gonna smudge all of it.
So
Actually, I haven't yet. It's kind of funny. There is dirt here from Bobby sucking at driving and getting dirt on his visor. You see right there. There's
call
all
it
right
open
there.
world card, Nate. Open cockpit car. So,
yeah, those things don't have halos or anything.
Bobby, before we
No
let you go,
windscreen.
is there any way people who are listening to here can keep in touch with you?
That guy's not on social media.
Write that down. I don't even have his number. Golly.
All right, guys. His
that down, write that
social
down.
security number is.
Plug your ears.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Plug your
What's
ears,
the,
Haley.
what's your credit card number? What's your CVC? What's the expiration date?
You have the number to your bank account?
What's your routing number? What's your checking number?
Hey, can you? Oh, actually, speaking of phone number, can you give out a Chase? I forgot how do you say his
Avery?
last name? Haley Diggins. Yeah. Can Can you give out Cabry's phone number live here on the podcast,
Nate,
please?
Nate
I'd
just
really
wants
like
to know his secret because Nate just is in love with
Yeah,
Haley Deegan.
I'm definitely not going to text him at
So-
all and ask him for stuff. You know, it's like
Nate is the epitome of a Haley Deegan simp, and he just wants to learn Chase Cabry's
Oh,
ways.
fun fact, by the way.
I'm gonna hate you.
I have an email from Hayden Deegan's, Danger Boy Deegan's marketing guy. So more to come on
Really?
that. But
You want to like
Ooh.
send on my Twitter and then just like send like give to Haley and like, after that, or
Nate.
you can do that too?
Oh my
simping.
God, Nate.
Nate, it's no simp January. Well,
I'm trying to-
February.
Wait, it's no sim February. That doesn't even make sense.
No simp September. Yeah, got a few hours.
January's over.
By the time this
in 2
episode's
hours.
out, it's February.
Yeah,
so.
it is. It'll be February
Uh,
2nd.
I guess we
Happy
did ask
Valentine's
Bobby
Day,
a
Zach.
question, and we kind of derailed it. Gotta go follow Bobby on TikTok. He's got like 2 TikToks, but they're both bangers. So,
all right.
you gotta get some more reels out there because you got some good footage, and I know you could convert that into a reel. And I got to start working on some of that myself. So,
Well,
Definitely a
Bobby,
big market
I
for that.
appreciate your time.
Evan's had enough with you, Bobby. He wants you off.
Evan's like, "All right, you can go now."
He's like, this is your time to leave. You're supposed to leave now.
We gotta have cue cards like Bobby leave.
The Jeopardy music is playing.
Hey, we gotta get a City Scoop sponsorship. That we could totally. I could go for some ice cream right now.
There you go. All right, well, everyone, this is
How many times are we gonna say, "All right, Bobby, appreciate you coming
No, I
on"?
wasn't even say that. I was just wrapping it up, actually. But
Oh.
okay.
Yeah, he doesn't want Bobby here. That's
We're all done.
that's the deal.
Well, Zach said it. Evan said it. Jordan's gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Bobby's
Thank
still
you,
gonna be-
everyone, for watching episode 3 of the Drive and Drive podcast. Tune in next week. Who
Today.
knows who we're going to have on the show next week? But tune in anyway.
Haley Deegan, baby, let's go.
Dude, I'm
fan.
co-hosting the crap out of that one.
Oh, dude, I'm the 100%, dude. 100%.